Good morning, and this is Motivational Mornings with me, Dr. Marcea. And as we get ready to kick off a brand new week, the message today is old school versus new school. I was listening to the radio this morning, and a song came on by a group I had never heard before. But the way that the song has gone, it sounded like it was back in the day with the LP and the needle running through the vinyl. And you could hear all of the background noise from back in the day. And as I listened and listened, I realized it was something that they had fabricated. They wanted the sound to be something from back in the day. But if anybody knows the things that have happened in, technology, where now you don't hear that background needle. We've gone from the LPs to the cassette tapes, and I think I missed one, the 8-track. And then we went to CDs, and now we have MP4, and we have high definition radio. We have all of these things that make the sound quality better. We've gone new school. And so now when we hear something from back in the day, we're like, hey, that doesn't sound so good, but you couldn't have told us anything that was wrong back in the day. My point is that there are older operating systems, and there are new operating systems. There are old versions of how we do things, and then there's new versions of how we do things. Think about car seats. I remember I was having an argument or discussion with my previous significant other, and to make a long story short, his parents weren't using the car seat as a baseline for what they were doing every time they rode my children around. And it frustrated me. And what he said was that, we didn't have seat belts, or we didn't use them way back when. It wasn't a mandate to have everybody strapped in. But my argument is, if you know better, do better. Just because we may not have had the level of car seat safety back in the day doesn't mean that you function back in the day, right? And so the thing is that when you do know better, we have to now do better. We have to, I'm going to say, evolve. Even I had back in the, I used to do a paper calendar, and this is when my life wasn't as busy. And I would put my items or whatever calendar of stuff I had on my calendar, my paper calendar. But the problem for nowadays is that there's so much technology, and there's so many appointments that are electronic, that are virtual, that have links, that it makes it difficult to keep up with a paper calendar. And I went through a whole process where I didn't want to give up the control of being able, I shouldn't say control, but I had a certain process for seeing my calendar. And I didn't like the virtual because, one, sometimes things go missing. Sometimes the new way isn't the best way, but I knew if I was going to sync my calendar, I had to evolve. And what I did is that instead of just deciding I was going to do a virtual calendar versus a paper calendar, what I did is I figured out a way to do both, to have some type of paper system, but also have a virtual calendar where I now feel like I can maneuver in this new school space. And so I did that for maybe a year or so. And now I have transitioned over to mainly the virtual calendar. What's my point? First is that we have to evolve somehow. Okay. The second thing is that there's going to be some elements of old school that we want to preserve, but the new school is going to be faster. It's going to be more efficient, and it's going to make us operate better in our space, whatever it is that we are charged to do. And so my question is, where do you need to evolve? What process has new technology? Which process has new options, new benefits? And not only in technology, but also in your operating system of your mind. When we operate in the same way we did 10 years ago, we're only going to get the results we would have gotten 10 years ago. It's time to update. It's time to evolve. And that means the thinking process needs to be different in order for you to get someplace you haven't been before. Sometimes that means reading a book and adopting some of those newer thoughts. Sometimes that means getting a coach so that you can update how you're thinking. Sometimes that means getting into a training. Maybe it means getting a new certification. It can mean so many different things, but there's a saying that says if you can be 1% better every day, by the end of 100 days, okay, you would be 100% better. Maybe in 365 days, you are 365% better. It's time to evolve. And so as you go through this week, I want you to just pick one area where there's a space for you to adopt an updated operating system so that you can be more efficient, so that you can carry out what you have been charged to do. This is how we increase capacity. This is how we're able to do more in less time. Sometimes that updated operating system is going to be to release some things. Either you don't need to do it, or you need to delegate, or we need to do a tweak. Okay? So figure out what your tweak is today. And I'm going to challenge you, figure out that tweak. Sometimes it's something that it's a new process. And so you do that one thing repeatedly over the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. For some of you, you're able to make a tweak every day. Okay? Do what feels good to you that's going to get you moving, because it only takes a little tweak in order to impact your life. All right? So the affirmation today is, I can evolve every day. I can make a small tweak every day and it evolve my life. #evolution. All right, so go about your week. It's Dr. Marcea signing off, and I will see you next week.